Welcome back to Digi Bros, everybody.
Alright.
We got the boomerang. Pretty fucking slick.
Pretty slick.
It's yellow.
Pretty yellow.
Looks like a toy.
Let's equip this bitch on my bottom screen.
Oh, hey, it did show up on screen, so...
Oh, cool.
I mean, yeah.
Kinda.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So, you had another topic. Why don't you break that out before we get too far in here?
I think that was the music thing. Yeah, bands tailoring their music to live performances. Okay. So I have a theory where we bitched about like Coheed and shit on here before, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we've complained about Coheed and Cambria.
We've bitched about bands becoming lame over time on this show before, and I have a theory that part of that is because they do so many live shows that they start to formulate what is best for them to play live, what they enjoy playing the most live, and what gets the best reactions out of fans, and so they tailor their music to fit their live performances. It's just a theory, but you know, I don't know. As a musician, I'd have to talk to a musician and ask them if that's an influence on what they do.
I do think, having read a lot of musician interviews, Mastodon did that.
Yeah. Which I could definitely see.
Early Mastodon music is very like, well, actually I should say they kind of did the opposite. Because early Mastodon music was very chugging and like more like hardcore influence, right? And they said that was the reason it was like that is because like at live shows that's what people respond to is like the heavy shit because people like breakdowns and they like to like go ape shit.
And that's why they still play like their old shit a lot.
Right, they still play like March of the Fire Ants
because it's
a fucking rockin' song to hear live. But they said like for them it was boring because those songs are just chugging away for like 3 minutes and it's boring to play. So they wanted to write songs that would be more complicated and more like
guitar solos and shit.
Right, more fun to play live and not just the same chugging stuff. So like Mastodon's one of those bands that, like you just said, they play stuff from all over their career. You know, they always play March of the Fire Ants from Remission. They'll often play, like, one song from Call of the Fire Ants. They'll play some stuff from Leviathan. And it's always, like, the same songs, like Aqua Dementia, Megalodon. You know, like, the songs that are fun to play and fun to hear live. And, like, when they put out, what's it called? The Hunter, it really did sound like this would be the funnest live show.
And it was.
Right.
It was a blast.
It was, because I at first hadn't really liked that album until we saw them live, and I was like, this, like, and I remember
my enjoyment of the album increases when I think about the live performance and like how much fun it was.
I remember, like, even the first time I heard the album, when the first track came on, Black Tongue, I went, this will burn the house down live. And that's exactly what it did. Because, like, when I had first listened to the album, I thought that song wasn't that great. I was like, it felt like kinda, compared to like, Blasteroid, which is like this heavy, awesome, intense song. But when they played Black Tongue live, that was the hypest shit ever. Because it starts off like, oh wait, that's
not Black.
Never mind. How does Black Tongue start?
I had
that one will also be awesome live if they ever fucking come here, because I had the same. That was what
Black
I thought
Tongue
of.
was.
Yeah, and I went fucking ape shit when they played that live.
It was fucking awesome. It sounds great.
That other song I was doing, High Road, would also be it's the same thing.
Which is why I'm mad they didn't tour around, because when I heard that album, I was like, this is going to sound so awesome live.
High Road
like, it's
would
gonna kick
blow
ass.
my dick off live.
And then they didn't fucking come here, and I'm very sad about it.
Yeah, we still haven't seen the fucking new album at any live shows.
Depressing.
But yeah, Mastodon totally did that. They totally started making songs like for live shows, and it totally works because they're awesome. And when you say that, and you're bringing up Coheed, like, I can easily see it because Coheed,
because they're those
sucks live.
they do suck live, and when you get to like those other 3 albums. I don't want to say the last 3 because I haven't heard the new one, but the 3 before their newest one, they all kind of sound the same, and like they have like that's the same kind of energy to them. And I'm like, I wonder if that's just what he likes to play live the most.
I mean,
and like so he's feeding off that one energy.
I would definitely say that like their older songs were definitely harder to play live. Yeah. And sound worse live. Like when. Yeah. Because I've seen a lot of live Coheed like footage, and like I'm not saying they can't put on good shows. They have put on good shows. Like when they did the Hammerstein Ballroom show, you know, like that's on DVD. That was a good show. But like I've seen a lot of shitty live performances, and when we saw them live after Year of the Black Rainbow, it was mediocre, right? And like certainly there's certain songs that like when the song I was most shocked to hear at that live show was when they played the Willing Well Part 1 or 2. I think it was the one with "No one runs faster than you." It's really
can. Like the theatrical elements of their albums.
But that song sounded really awesome
live. Yeah,
that song, like I never would have expected them to play that live because it's such a deep cut on the album. But it sounded really good live, and I was like, okay, now I get why they'd play this song. Whereas some of the ones that like they clearly played because they're crowd favorites may not have held up so much. But that's the other issue, though, like with this argument, is that most bands have to like if you want to play a good live show, to most people that means playing the crowd favorites. Yeah. Then the first thing I heard after Coheed was someone being pissed off that they didn't play A Favorite House Atlantic. The first thing I heard. Yeah. Which is probably a pretty good live song, but you know, people were like, "Oh, they didn't play A Favorite House Atlantic," you know?
Well, then maybe it's hard to play live, or they don't like to play it live.
Could be, but like, I really don't think that in Coheed's case, maybe that's a part of it. Maybe they're thinking about what to play live, and the fact that their new songs are so simplistic could definitely be like, okay, well, that's probably, it sounds better live than some of their other more complicated songs. Like, I can't imagine, I don't think they played it, but like, can you imagine trying to play The Crowing live, you know, where it's like, you know?
Like some of their early, like, more fucking technical shit, you know?
Right. Where it's always like, chug, 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 and then sudden, or, you know, Everything Evil when they play that. It's like, he can't fucking sing and do the...
Yes.
How does it go?
And yeah, there might be stuff like that on the albums where it's like, simplified stuff so we can sing and play at the same time and stuff like that.
But on the one hand, while I could say that could be part of it, there's no way that it's not just shit. That album is fucking garbage.
I'm not making excuses for the album.
But I mean, like,
I'm saying that there could be reasoning behind a change in sound.
I wanted to talk about this because I listened to the new Coheed album, and I don't remember if I brought this up in my solo Let's Plays, but I was making fun of it because I on Halloween, the scariest thing that happened to me was YouTube recommended me their album.
Oh, God.
It was in full on YouTube, and I was like, oh, I guess I'm doing this. I think I made it through 4 songs, and they were just garbage, right? The one song that, like, their second single, which is, like would be a passable song if the entire rest of the album was better. But instead, it's the only... like remotely not shit song on the album, right?
I might go through a little
hole. The song, the lyrics of this song are about like wanting to turn back time and become what you were before. And he says, "I never wanted to be this me," and like, that's, you know, if only I could. And all I could think was, this is about making shitty music and being aware of it.
Yes.
Because I have a tendency, and I know this is unhealthy in some extent, you know, but, you know, I'm an analyst, and a big part of how I became interested in analysis was through lyrical analysis. I used to analyze lyrics on forums or on, like, different places back in the day, you know, read other people's interpretations. And most artists say things to the effect of that, like, their music, if it's telling a story, it's almost always duplicitous. It's partly their real emotions and partly a story, right? Coheed's always said that too. All of their songs, you know, they sound like they are simultaneously a sci-fi story and also just someone's real emotions, especially their early work, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, for the fuck's sake, the main character in the story is named Claudio, and Claudio's girlfriend is named Nuo Ikin, which is Nikki Owen backwards because that's his girlfriend's name, you know? Like, the characters are based on the people. The emotions are based on real emotions, right? So, like, when someone says something like that, and then you, like, listen to their lyrics, when someone's a career musician, they're often singing about what it's like to be a musician. You know, oftentimes the lyrical content reflects just like what they're feeling as musicians. And like, okay, if you listen to the new Deer Hunter album, there's all these titles and lyrics about being back at the old haunt, going back to the way things were before, because it's their first Act album since Act 3 where they had put out all this different weird stuff, right?
Yeah.
So they make a song called The Old Haunt as the first track on the newest Act album, and it's like, this is clearly about their career, right? Like, on some level, you know, and he's always said that too. He's always said, like, you know, whatever my life is, I kind of base the story, like, the story beats, how I present them is based on, like, my real emotions and stuff like that. So, Coheed and Cambria is a band that kind of does that. And when he makes a song singing about how he wants to go back to the past and never wanted to be this me, all I can think is, this is about realizing that he no longer is the same musician he was.
Yes.
He no longer can write the same songs that he could before.
Or maybe he isn't allowed to.
He's become someone he never wanted to be, which is a fucking sellout. You know? Someone who's making music that's just for the sake of getting it out. You know, for the sake of having another album, because that's your career, because people expect it, and because there's a bunch of people who are going to like it no matter what. There's a bunch of people who, you make a Coheed album, and it's going to be a great Coheed album, because it's Coheed, you know, because they like the voice, or they just like the aesthetic of the music or whatever, or they got into them through their last few albums, or it'll get a new audience who think it's their best album yet, who didn't like all the proggy bullshit before, you know, but like, when it comes to Claudio himself, I never wanted to be this me, you know? I never wanted to be the guy who puts out an album just because it's expected, because I have to, because I have to make money, because it's my career, because I need more songs for an excuse to go on another live tour, you know, like... That's how I can't help but read it, you know? And maybe it's wish fulfillment. For all I know, he could be completely satisfied with this new album, with the way his life's going, with the way their career is, and I don't know shit, you know? But it's so easy for me to read that into it, you know? And it's not like I always read that into albums. I don't like the last Portugal the Man album, but they were clearly happy with it, you know? And, like, none of the lyrics make you think they weren't, just because I don't like it, you know? But that Coheed album really strikes me as, like, I don't think he likes it. I don't think they're into it anymore. I think I mean, look at the shit the band has been through over the years. They've had, like, several members who had to, like, quit because of drug and alcohol abuse, you know? Like, I think it was their bassist who, like, fucking robbed a convenience store on crack or something and, like, went to jail. You know, they went through several drummers because of, like...
That's another thing. I wonder if, like, new drummers they play with can even play the shit from, like, the old albums and stuff.
I assure you,
or if they can write that
Chris
kind of
Penny
shit.
was able to. The guy who was on Year of the Black Rainbow, who's one of the like best drummers ever. He was the drummer for Dillinger Escape Plan. Okay. And he joined them and performed on Year of the Black Rainbow.
But I mean, maybe on their first album, the drummer had more influence in like the progressive drumming sound of it.
Do you remember how fucking Guns of Summer was with the drums?
Yes.
That's like ridiculous. That was where I was like, oh, that's Chris Penny's on drums now, so they're doing like crazy shit, you know?
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, it is a different sound, a different sounding. You know, that would never have happened on their old album.
But yeah, it's like who knows who writes the most of the music. Like maybe Claudio is more involved in the music, the lyrics and the guitars and doesn't know how to structure drum tracks and things like that.
Most Coheed and Cambria songs start as acoustic songs. Like, there's almost always you can find acoustic demos of, like, most of their songs from their first few. And I also think it's possible that, like, a lot of their early output was, like, shit that had been written way beforehand.
Yeah.
Because, like... a lot of the stuff from the first album was written when they were Shibuya.
Yeah, Shibuya.
You know,
stuff.
like, because everything Evil and Delirium Trigger, I think, were both on the Delirium Trigger EP.
Yeah.
You know, Elf Tower, New Mexico was written before they were Coheed. You know, and then you get all these demos, and there's demos for stuff from, like, their second and third album that was out years before those albums came out, you know? And then, like, maybe after the first 4, like, they had run out all the songs that he had written, you know? Like, maybe that was a point where it became, like, I'm no longer the person who I was when I wrote the majority of Coheed's music, you know, that I've been, like, perfecting over the years, and now it's just a blank slate. It's just whatever I can come up with now, 10 years, 20 years later, as a completely different person, you know?
Yeah.
Someone who doesn't feel any of the same things they felt before.
Might not be into the same kind of music and influences he once had, you know?
But it's sad to me because, like, Claudio in particular used to do so much different stuff. Not just on Coheed albums, but, like, you know, he had the whole storyline behind them, which had its own comic books and stuff, you know, which I don't know if those are still publishing or if they finished or what, but, like, and I mean, Year of the Black Rainbow had a fucking novel that came with it. You know, he did write a whole novel, like, with the assistance of somebody for that. And he did My Brother's Blood Machine, that whole completely different sounding album, you know, with, like, another band. But, like, now it feels like he's just, again, going through the motions, making an album because he has to, you know, some shitty fucking radio pop ass bullshit, goddamn garbage piece of shit.
Shitty fucking album.
And I mean, I have plenty of problems with the old Coheed albums, and I don't think it's the kind of music that I'd get into as much if I heard it for the first time today. Because the production is really bad on, like, all their albums, like, for one thing. But, like, there's so, like, when we were listening to The Crowing the other day, and I was just like, there's so much cool stuff in this song, you know, when it's like, when it just gets into, like, weird parts and epic parts, and, like, there's so much ambition and thought put into it, and then you listen to a new song, and it's just, no one gives a fuck who you are, and you're like, oh. Okay.
I remember the first time I played this game, I forgot to get the heart at this part, and I was just fucked, and I stopped playing. I was like, nope. Hell no.
You could have gone back for it.
I was a kid, I didn't fucking know that.
That's true. Alright.
I was just like, oh, fucked up.
We did another dungeon. Next time on Digibros, we'll talk about things.
A little bit.
I ended up bitching about Coheed for 20 minutes again. I'm kind of impressed.